What's up, y'all? It's Dr. Paul with a comic book crack, press, and resubmit video for Liberty Hill Comics, where I share my passion and over 40 years experience comic book collecting, investing, and conservation with you. Today we are continuing our first comic book CPR project for the channel. Our CPR candidate is a nice Marvel Silver Age key, Tales to Astonish number 44, in PGX 6.5 with off-white to white pages. It's the first appearance of the Winsome Wasp by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby, and is early in the Marvel Age with a publication date of May 1963, which is before the introduction of Doctor Strange, the X-Men, the Avengers, and Daredevil. The Wasp was, of course, a founding member of the Avengers, and was featured monthly for 2 years in Tales to Astonish, first partnering with Ant-Man and then with Giant Man. She would eventually lead the Avengers as the first chairwoman of the team. This comic book has a lot going for it. First appearance of an important Marvel character that has been featured prominently in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, her first cover appearance coinciding with her first appearance, and the definitive creative team of Stan the Man Lee and Jack King Kirby. In episode 1, we explained the concept of comic book crack, press, and resubmit, the financial incentives, what a good CPR candidate looks like, what the risks are, and provided financial specifics for my copy of Tales to Astonish number 44, including what we thought our possible best case, base case, and worst case scenarios are. Then we cracked the slab and gave the book a once-over, looking for any major flaws that PGX may have missed, including a page count. The interior was beautiful and the page count checked out, but I noted the front cover gloss appeared a little suspect and made a note to investigate that further during dry cleaning. In episode 2, I dry cleaned the comic book, front cover and back, and spent some time inspecting the cover for reglossing. While I didn't find anything that I felt was 100% definitive for reglossing, I am leaning heavily toward the cover having been reglossed, because the front cover gloss is both higher gloss than I normally see in Silver Age Marvel comics, and higher gloss than the back cover. Also, I was unable to remove any soiling during dry cleaning on the front cover, although I was able to remove soiling from the back cover in similarly soiled areas. Taken together, I think these observations indicate reglossing. But if the front cover was reglossed, it was done subtly. The front cover paper is not overly stiff, doesn't have an unnatural feel, and doesn't have a yellow cast like you might expect with shellac. Also, there's no color touch present on this book. Why would a comic book restorer regloss the cover to improve appearance and not bother color touching the cover, which would have enhanced the appearance much further? For that matter, why only regloss the front cover? Why not also regloss the back while you are at it to match the front? So after completing dry cleaning, I still have some lingering doubt this cover has been reglossed. I created a playlist for this video series if you missed either of the first 2 episodes and want to check them out before watching this episode. Just click on the link in the upper right corner. In today's video, we're going to give this comic book a press, see what we can do about those creases in the front cover especially. So into the humidity chamber it goes. My humidity chamber is 98% relative humidity. We're going to put it in overnight. I've got about a 1/4 inch of water in the bottom. You can use tap water. Distilled might work a little better, especially if you have hard water, because you want to clean it from time to time, and hard water will leave calcium deposits behind that distilled water won't. So after overnight in the humidity chamber, I'm going to go ahead and put it on my hobby mat. I have a magazine backer board with cutouts for the staples that I've prepared and I'm just going to put that into the fold, push it in nice and snug, make sure that it's aligned really well, that the backer board does provide relief for the staples. And then I'm going to put 100-pound cardstock, this is actually 90-pound, underneath the front and the back covers. I think we need the stiffness here for those creases in the front cover especially. So you've seen me vary sometimes what cardstock I use to buffer and where exactly I place it. This is when I place it directly under the covers, when we have nice, strong, supple paper and where we need something quite stiff because we do have creases we want to remove. Then we're going to go into my seal press. The bottom stack here is 2 magazine backer boards and another piece of 100-pound cardstock. This is nice, smooth Bristol cardstock. And I'll put the buffered comic directly on it. And then the stack above is the same. A piece of 100-pound cardstock directly on the comic face, and then 2 magazine backer boards above it. The press is going to be about 155 degrees for 15 minutes. I'll let it cool overnight, and we'll pull it out the following morning and have a look. Alright, I'm excited to see how this looks. We had some significant bends in that cover, some of which broke color, so it'll be very interesting to see. And look at this. The front cover has stuck to my cardstock. That's not normal, boys and girls. So I have my micro spatula, and I'm going to slide it gently between the cover and the cardstock from the buffer stack and try to get the cover to release without potentially damaging the cover. This doesn't seem great. I could be doing this on my hobby mat, but you wouldn't have a very good view of it. I thought this side view, while it's still in the seal press, would be better for demonstrating just what I'm doing. Let's have a look at the cardstock. That is ink that is lifted from the cover. And I think this might be the last clue we needed as to whether or not this book has had the front cover reglossed. As we take the book out of the press, notice the bottom cover did not stick to the cardstock, despite all of the same pressing conditions as the front cover. You can see in this close-up the ink loss resulted in little white flecks on the cover, most noticeable here in Cosmos's mouth. Let's have a look at some stills. Here is the front cover, and you can see our press was effective in that there was a dramatic improvement in the creasing that was present in the front cover. Although we had some ink lift onto the cardstock during the press, it has not destroyed the cover. Though we did have some small flecks that are noticeable in the front cover, they're not out of line with the overall grade on the cover, so I don't expect them to affect the grade much, perhaps a half point at most. The back cover was already in pretty good shape, but now we have a really beautiful presenting back cover. We removed some light soiling, and the back cover is nice and smooth and has a natural looking consistent gloss. Although it did have some small disruptions in the gloss in the bottom third of the middle text block that are noticeable in raking or incident light. Let's compare the back and front covers side by side and discuss our plans for this comic book. Although the front cover is still a bit more glossy than the back, ironically I think the cardstock sticking to the front cover during the press has helped to de-gloss it just a tiny bit and make it more consistent in gloss with the back cover. For For the record, I probably could have used silicone release paper rather than paper cardstock in my buffer stack and not had it stick to the front cover. But for Silver and Golden Age books, I prefer the reusability of cardstock and the natural look of books pressed with cardstock to those pressed with SRP. So I don't usually use SRP for pressing vintage comic books anymore. I've never had a comic book cover stick to paper cardstock like that before, so now I am essentially certain this comic book has been reglossed, and PGX missed it. And while submitting it to CGC and it coming back with a restored label is not probably going to make good financial sense, I'm going to do it anyway because I think this video series can serve as a good cautionary tale for anyone considering purchasing a PGX slab. But if I'm going to make a statement about the quality of PGX's grading, I think it's much more objective and powerful if a qualified third party states that the cover has been reglossed rather than Dr. Paul said so. I am, after all, not a recognized authority on grading comic books, although if I'm correct about this book, we may be able to make the argument I'm more qualified than the folks at PGX at grading comic books. I hope you enjoyed this video on the comic book crack, press, and resubmit of this little Silver Age gem, reglossed though it may be. Anyone out there still think this comic hasn't been reglossed? Given the situation, if this comic book was yours, would you submit it to CGC, just enjoy it in your collection, or sell it? Let me know in the comments below. Next video, we'll review the CGC submission process for this book, and then it'll just be a waiting game. But CGC turnaround times are dramatically down from what they were a year ago, so we should have our final results soon. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Until next time, take care of one another.